Hello, we have a lot of great stuff today, so I want to make sure we start on time. I'm Austin Regival. I'm the vice president here at the Tri-City Regional Chamber. Thank you all so much for being here. I was telling our panel, I think this is a record registration attendance for us, both for in-person and on Zoom. So people are really interested in AI, guys. I hope that you have some cool things to say. I know they do. I looked at their PowerPoints ahead of time. Today's Ask the Experts session and all Ask the Expert sessions wouldn't be possible without the support of STCU. It's their partnership why we all get to come here and learn for free today. So with us, I have Charlie, the Director of Commercial Banking at STCU, to say a few words.
Well, I'll be quick. It's a big crowd and it's a popular topic. So just yeah, with STCU, happy to continue to sponsor the series. I'm excited about the topic. Obviously, a lot of people are. So thank you to the chamber for hosting. Thank you to the audience for participating today. Most importantly, thank you to the panel for sharing your time and your knowledge with all of us. So thanks.
Thank you, Charlie. Let's give STCU a round of applause. Thank you. And here are our excellent panel for today. Marci Ballard is the Senior Director of Product Marketing at Christensen, Inc., bringing over 20 years experience in sales and operations management. She holds a master's degree in industrial and organizational psychology, which enhances her ability to engage and inspire teams. Marci is a passionate advocate for both her industry and community, serving on the WSU Tri-Cities Carson College of Business Board of Advisors, and is the Washington State Director for the National Propane Gas Association. In her free time, she enjoys family activities, especially attending sporting events and playing golf. This is Marci. Tyler Best is the president and owner of Abadan, a leading business technology solutions provider here in the Tri-Cities, a graduate of Whitworth University in Spokane with a degree in business and accounting. Tyler joined the family company shortly after college and later purchased it along with his wife, Lindsay. Lindsay is also here. Oh, there she is. Hi, Lindsay. Under his leadership, Abadan remains a strong supporter of the Tri-City business community and local nonprofits. And when not at work, Tyler enjoys spending time with his family, playing tennis and golf, and cheering for the Mariners. Last night was awesome. And the Seahawks. This is Tyler Best. And last but certainly not least is Reanette Etzler. She's a seasoned leadership trainer, speaker, and former chief administrative officer with over 25 years of executive experience. She specializes in connection leadership, gender equity in the workplace, and transforming HR functions into strategic business assets. A John Maxwell certified coach and DISC certified trainer, Reanette has successfully led teams of more than 1,800 employees. Her work empowers leaders to build high-performing, people-focused cultures through authenticity and strategic development. This is Reanette. And with that, I will give it over to Marci.
Hello. Well, even though he did a great introduction, I rather like to introduce myself as this AI character here. I really like what AI created for me today, and it was really easy to do so. So first and foremost, AI creates. It created me with great posture, really great skin, not a wrinkle on my face there, good hair, and blue eyes. But fun fact, my eyes are really more green. But again, that's what AI created. It's what it does. It recreates, it reimagines, it regurgitates what it finds. So this cartoon image of me, it's not just a gimmick, it's really a symbol for that AI is the new gate. It decides who shows up as a cartoon feature, but it decides who shows up in answers to questions that we're asking, recommendations, in any of your search history. I mean, AI is not just about going to ChatGPT as an app now. You get it right there embedded in most search engines. So AI is still super early. The things that we're doing today, the information we're putting out there is going to shape our businesses, our content, and even our reputation for years to come. So let's dig into what it takes to really show up on purpose with AI. So first and foremost, this is not ground level stuff we're talking about today. We were joking ahead of time that we can't believe that still so many people are like, what is AI? And so if you don't know how to create a prompt to get an answer that you're looking for, today is not the place for you. You got some catch up to do. You need to like, go ask ChatGPT how to do that, or follow somebody on TikTok. It's all over the place. Today is more about not just prompts, although I know I leave a few in, you guys probably will too, but it's about positioning your brand to start showing up inside those AI answers. Like, how do you be the one to show up? We used to say, just Google it. You had a question, well, have you Googled it? Now, I hear all the time, well, have you asked ChatGPT? One, I don't think that rolls off the tongue very easily, so I'm hoping that there's like another way people are saying it, ask AI, something like that. But the point is, what we're not doing now is typing it into a search bar and clicking on 10 different links to try to get the answer that you're looking for. You are usually getting one answer and you're usually trusting it. And the proof behind that is that 58% of Google searches did not end up in a click last year. We got the answer, we trusted it, we moved on with our lives. And if you're searching within ChatGPT, beginning of this year, the answer that it gave resulted in 25 million clicks directly to somebody's website. That's up from just 1 million last year. And that is a huge behavior shift. So if you're not showing up in those answers, you are missing a huge population of customers that might be visiting your business. So where we used to focus on ranking, now we need to focus on learning how to train AI to talk about us. So first, AI is a little different. It doesn't just scan your website for answers. It scours the websites all over the place. It looks at Reddit and forums and LinkedIn posts, news sites, in addition to your website. So visibility isn't just about page rank. It's about being quoted, summarized, and referenced outside of your own little world that you live in. So no, I'm not saying SEO is dead. I'd make a lot of people mad if I said that. But what I am saying is there's this shift, there's this evolution that's going from SEO, search engine optimization, to AIO, so AI optimization. So how does it choose the answers? It's looking for 3 things most of all: clarity, credibility, and context. It's looking for content that answers real questions people are asking. It's asking for information that shows up across various platforms. It's looking for content by real people. This is my first fun little tip, is that an author bio is how AI learns to trust you. That's gold right there, because AI prioritizes real voices over anonymous brands. So if you're missing from the conversation that's happening out in the World Wide Web, then AI is not having anything to summarize or anything to quote. You're not likely showing up in those answers. So how do you start showing? You need to start answering real questions that your customers are asking in that very, very plain language. So posting frequently asked question pages on your website. You need to get quoted outside your organization. Think your industry organizations. Can you be a speaker? Can you submit questions and have your name start popping up? Can you be involved with your customers' industry associations? You can talk on a podcast. But again, in your website, you want to be using plain language that's structured with headings and bullets and summaries. And you want to be repurposing your content across platforms. So it's not just enough to have it on your web page. You need to take that same information, create a blog, post it on your different social media channels, get that same information in as many places as possible. And then you can also ask your web team about schema. That's something I'll dive into just a little bit later. So if you're not showing up, that's okay. That's your roadmap, right? The beauty of AI is it's not a mystery. It's really more like a mirror. Whatever you're putting out, that's what you're going to get back. That's your reflection. So let's see this in action.
When I ask, where can I find renewable diesel in Washington? It is no big surprise to me, at least, that Christensen shows up as the #1 answer. When we didn't pay to play, this wasn't about, getting a bunch of clicks and having us show up top of the page. This was incredibly intentional. We were in the news talking about renewable diesel. We wrote our own blog. We did a video, tagged our customers, we became the expert. And I was even quoted in Fleet Maintenance Magazine about renewable diesel. This started making us look like the expert. And so AI trusted us. So we really just earned the right to be there. But we didn't AI optimize everything at once. We chose to start with renewable diesel because that fit with our supply strategy and where we were going with our commercial vision. If you look up some other questions, we might pop to, maybe you need ag exempt fuel in Washington State or grease for your tractor, things like that. I probably don't care about in a room with people dressed professionally, but if you do, we might show up. But we're not showing up if you searched, where do I find propane for my home? And that's not a problem, that's incredibly intentional. Residential propane is somewhere we're going next. We're just about to be big there. And now we've got a roadmap of how to position ourselves. So when you do search, where do I find propane for my home or whatever you do, we'll phrase it a lot of different ways across a lot of different forums. We will show up as the answer. So the takeaway here is that you don't have to do everything at once. Maybe choose one product, one service, one question that your customers are asking, or one problem that you are solving for those customers. So instead of showing up everywhere, just show up on purpose and like build confidence, go from there. So a little shift to behind the scenes. We're talking about first how you can position yourself outside of your organization. Now let's talk about your website itself. You can have the best content in the world, but if AI doesn't understand it, it's not going to surface it in those answers. So that's where schema comes in. Schema is like invisible code that labels your content. It tells AI what it's looking at. This is a frequently asked questions page. This is a product page. This is information written by Stan. And by the way, Stan has these various accolades, and Stan should really be trusted because here's his bio. So if you think of your website like a restaurant, schema becomes the menu. The appetizer is your frequently asked questions. The entree, that is your product page. And the chef, well, that's Stan, right? So this matters because if your website is understood by AI, it can make you pop at the top. It can get you featured as the answer and even enrich results that it provides. It makes you easier to summarize, and the chances of getting quoted are higher, even if you're not #1 in SEO. I'll tell you how you can ask your web team more about that later. So let's use AI to audit ourselves too. You don't have to hire a consultant to say, how am I doing with AI? It's literally as easy as saying, can you summarize the products and services offered by Christensen based on online content? So that's what I did here. And I wasn't disappointed. I was pretty happy with kind of what showed up here. The majority of our products and services, fuel, lubes, propane, fleet cards, it's all on there. It talks about bulk deliveries. Again, it still doesn't talk about residential propane. Don't worry, coming soon. But it talked mostly about us. I would give us at least a check mark, right? Okay, we covered it. Nothing's missing. But a scarier question is to start comparing yourself against your competitors using AI. So when I did that, I knew that it would talk about our great service and our, our strategy and the things that make us special. And for the most part, it did. It talked about, from a competitive advantage standpoint, we are tech focused for our customers. We work with them to make sure that they have all the technology needs when it comes to their fuel deliveries. We've got a big focus on sustainability. But what surprised me was that it talked about our regional concentration being a disadvantage. Well, if you look at my map here, hello AI, we're not just in the Pacific Northwest, we're in the Mountain West and the Southwest, we're making deliveries all the way down into Arizona. But AI didn't know that. And I'd like to think it's just because we haven't like bragged enough about our footprint. But what's true here is that we've got some digging in to do. We didn't connect the dots well enough for AI, so it connected them themselves, and it thinks we're only in the Pacific Northwest. So AI, I mean, it's not its opinion that it's giving you, it's signaling that you didn't tell the story properly, and you know exactly where. I like to think that AI is like your brutal, honest best friend that you hope is gonna give you like a really good answer, but you're prepared for the truth. So I talked a lot about ChatGPT today. It's where I live and breathe. I mean, there's lots of different forums that we're gonna talk about, and they all are good for something. They each have their niche. I pay attention to what's out there, but even when my work came to me and they said, we're getting you Copilot, I said, like, I just know what I know now, and I'm very comfortable here. I think ChatGPT is really good for, you get a 29-page document from the Department of Ecology. Well, let's summarize that. Let's make it digestible. It's good for things like drafting posts, brainstorming your messaging, and even taking a bunch of notes and turning them into a presentation. I may have done that. But Perplexity, that's really great for if you are doing a lot of research. It shows its work. It shows you all the resources that it pulled from. And ChatGPT can do that too, but you have to ask it to do so. This just is kind of great for if you need quick research. Gemini is great if you live in the Google ecospace. If you're in Docs all the time or Sheets all the time, it's really kind of on the up and coming, but it's going to be great for your different like workflows that you've got together. But the point is here, there's so many, but most of them, these same principles apply, that you need to be noticed if you want to be the answer to what your customers are asking. So I've covered a lot. Everything from who shows up, what AI prefers, how to test your own visibility, all bunch of cool ideas, right? But it's in a handout, so you will either get that from Austin online, or I think they're available in the back of the room, to give you those questions to ask your web team, like, are we using this FAQ schema, whether that's your internal team or you use an outside vendor, just ask the question. But if you have one thing you take away from me today, it's that if you're not showing up, someone else is. AI is not kind of waiting around for you to figure it out. They're answering questions today. All of these apps are. And the brands with the visibility are the ones that are clear, consistent, and that use a human voice on the internet. So don't tackle everything at once. Start small, but start now. Thank you. You can scan my blue eye, red hair. I'll hand it over to Tyler now. Thank you.
Sit until you go past them. I don't need to fall.
I'll try not to knock over that all here. Just clear next one. Okay. I thought it was just gonna be Marci. Yeah.
You can do mine again.
Yours is great, so maybe I should. Well, I'm Tyler with Abadan. We are an office technology company. We've been in business over 70 years. I've been doing it pretty much most of my life. And my wife and I bought the business from my dad about 8 years ago. And we're going to talk about AI today. I'm going to give you a quick little overview of what I'm going to be going over. Got 3 different things I'm going to be going over. I'm going to go over a plot AI note-taking device, which I'm going to show you here in a second. And then I'm also going to be going over a project management tool called ClickUp and how I use AI in it. And then we're going to talk about a document management tool that we use AI in called SquareNet. First, let's start with a device called Plot. I found out about this device I think probably on TikTok or somewhere else. And it's one of these, you probably all have heard of a note-taking device that uses AI now, whether it's through Teams or Zoom or somewhere else. Well, not all of those have an actual physical device, and then you're not always in one of those Teams meetings. So sometimes you're in a lecture or somewhere else, and you need a device that can do a audio recording, and that will, like this device here. I also have a different one that's called the Note, that's like this one here. This one can be used a little bit differently than that one. This one can sit on the back of your phone. This one can be just clipped to your shirt. Some people use this and they have it to where it takes notes all day long when they're doing stuff. It kind of records everything, and it uses AI to be able to not only report what's going on, but it will kind of analyze what's going on, try to pinpoint the highlights of it. It will then transcribe it. So it's going to transcribe the whole message, and it can also do a version of, it's a summarized version of it. So really cool device. It is a tool. There are getting more and more, like I started using this about 2 years ago. And since then, there's like hundreds of devices that are like this now. There's hundreds of apps. I always thought that they should just have this as an app that's in your phone, and I'm kind of waiting for that to kind of come. The problem that I have with this one is that when you are on a Teams call, it doesn't record the other side unless you're on speaker. So that is one negative drawback that I've seen with this versus you have it in the AI within Teams or Zoom. That it's already built into it. I really love their summarizing and their note taking. It even allows you to be able to choose who's the people that are doing the speaking, and it will say, hey, this person talked about this. You can make it is searchable, so you can kind of like, hey, I remember this was brought up in this meeting that somebody mentioned a book, or you're in a lecture and like, what was that book? You could just type that, what was that book, and it will pull it up like that cool note. It's a really neat feature and a cool device, and I think the technology is even getting better as we speak. So we remember some things. I don't know if you're like me. I can't remember everything that's in a meeting that I'm in. Sometimes I'll almost nod off. I have the ADHD. I'm gonna have I can't even hardly remember what's going on at the time. So I really love to be able to have the notes and be able to kind of come back to it and look at it. So that's a cool thing. Next thing we go into is ClickUp. It's remember the Lord of the Rings, one ring to rule them all. This is one AI to replace them all, is what they tout in ClickUp. We use this as a project management tool in our company, and I think it's a fantastic app. I spend most of my day actually in ClickUp all day long as a tool. So I could talk about ClickUp all day long, and my team tell you they get sick of ClickUp a little bit because I talk about it a lot. I focus my day on getting from email into ClickUp as fast as I can, mainly because they keep integrating and innovating and doing new stuff all the time. And one of those things is ClickUp. This AI that they put into it. They call it the AI brain, ClickUp brain. And the tool that they have in there is getting better and better all the time. And I love it. I think it's a great way of, we're talking about getting AI in action. This is a great way of how AI is getting out there and getting into it. We use this to keep track of our projects or tasks, keep it up with deadlines. And AI can summarize those things. They can help you generate more tasks, meetings, keep you on track where you're going with it. It's the all-in-one, as they kind of say. Keeps you connected with a bunch of different apps. The cool thing I do like about ClickUp, it's starting to integrate a lot with other apps. It does integrate with your Outlook, with your calendar. You can sync it up so that as you're trying to figure out what you're doing for your day, ClickUp now can actually start scheduling your day out and planning out what you're doing. It looks at your tasks you've got, looks at what everything that's on your calendar, and kind of sync them up together and make it to where You don't have to think about what you're gonna do. This can kind of tell you what it does. It does use chat, GPT, in there, and it continues to grow and it's using, more and more technologies to do it. Just like most things on the web, it's using that and you use it to be able to create work on things. It can be just as simple as making job descriptions, policies and agendas. Just like you can, instead of going onto the website and chat GPT, you could go in here and you can actually type in, hey, I want to go create this job description. You can put a one sentence about like what you're trying to do, and it will come up with a summary or a job description or even come up with a document that you're actually looking for. Depending on how much you put in there. And it always depends on like what you're putting into your document or what you're putting in there is what's gonna come out. You know, I love it for brainstorming. I think that's probably one of the things you get started, hey, got an idea, but I need some more details. I feel like that's what I use Chat GPT for the last 2 years. I've been kind of starting to use it. Now that I have it in ClickUp, it's like, oh, I got one place to be able to go. It's great to be able to have it all in one spot. Obviously, it's gonna save time and help boost your productivity. There's lots of cool features in there. Obviously, me, I'm not a great writer, very grammatically, let's just say. I got my team is already laughing over there because they already know. They don't when I use AI and when I don't use AI. So I love it for editing my writing. It helps me a lot. Sometimes I can be creative and come up with ideas, but putting them down into sentences that people can actually read doesn't always happen. So I tend to use it. It helps me improve not only my writing, makes it, grammatically correct, makes it a lot longer because sometimes I'm like, that's all I got. So I'll come in here and I'm like, okay, I don't know what else to say. I'm like, oh, that does sound great. I want it to be, if you've used chat, AI stuff and you say, how do you want to use it? I want it to be creative. I want it to be smart. I want it to be awesome. I usually choose those ones on the tone that I'm looking for. And sometimes I'm long-winded. Like I'll have a lot of different information. I'm like, okay, I need to do this. I need to put this into a PowerPoint or something shorter. It will make it shorter. It'll simplify it. Or I've taken my notes from my plot from an hour-long conversation, and I need to summarize that and explain it to somebody in a shorter version. So I'll take even the summary that came out of that. It took an hour-long one and put it into a 5-minute little thing, and I need to condense it down to even a minute. I use it in the AI and ClickUp, and it's able to help me explain it even simpler. I also, and I was talking about this earlier, as you're starting to work in your projects, you start making sprints is what I would call it. There's lots of different project management tool terms out there, and breaking it down into simpler, easier tasks is a great way of doing it. And sometimes you may have a great summary or description or one big task that you're doing. And with ClickUp, I can go in and hit generate tasks. It kind of already has a summary of all the stuff, or I already have a bunch of tasks that it's taking. It can go in there and it will start like, oh, you need to do all these different things. And it's really cool. It can break it down into a smaller piece that is more doable. As you get into ClickUp and you start using the tool, it's kind of what Marci was talking about. It's like kind of what you're putting into it. So depending on how much you're putting into ClickUp, how much you're using it, how many other people are assigned and using it in your team, you could eventually start using AI because it will start knowing who does what in your organization. You can use AI to say, can you assign these to the appropriate people? And this will eventually get to the point where as you're working in it more, it will know, oh, for this person is who you go to for HR, this person you go for marketing, so you go to service, so you go to sales. It'll start assigning those people the tasks that they need to do. So that's kind of where we're headed into this stuff. The more you use it, the more information you put into it, the more it's going to be able to generate and help people. Then we get into Square 9. Square 9 is a product, it's a document management tool we've been selling it for years, and Square Nine's been in the business for a lot of years. And they've been touting probably for the last couple of years that they have AI in there, and they're now truly getting into a lot more and more AI. I like their phrase here, that's taking the paper out of work. And so, you know, we're kind of in a paper business, but we are also in a world, well, we're trying to make the people more and more efficient. And one of those things that we can do is do that through document management. Obviously, you're gonna be able to, with the document management, you're gonna be able to scan products in, and it's gonna digitize them so they're searchable. Well, now that Square Nine has AI in it, it makes it towards searchable by contact, not just by names. So a lot of times you'd have to have in the name to be able to search it. It doesn't need that anymore. With AI is added into the document management, you can say anything you want. You want to find the most updated document you have, you've scanned in all your documents, you got like 10 different versions of something. It can know the latest document. It can go find the newest one, the one that's more relevant. Or you may even be trying to find the older document. I know sometimes we've messed up with a document and we've had multiple people working on the same document. You want to find the older version or the one that this person was working on. You could be able to do that within here. Latest versions or the relevant information. This also has the ability to be able to take it one step further, integrate into other systems. There's a whole other section that goes into the Square Nine that it gets into AP and taking it a step further than just being a document management. It can actually input it into your system. So that's kind of where this is going. The more info you put into it, the more you get a better AI that's driven behind it, the more you can start doing with your products and things like that. And so I think that's the exciting thing about AI as we get going. It eliminates obviously the manual part, which is the human error we cause, or the people that are writing it like me. This is going to be able to get around that part. Obviously, we want to, I was talking about that a little bit earlier, is that you'll also automate your workflows as it integrates into other things. In conclusion, AI is important, very important, but we need to have balance in what we're doing. And as I talk about, it's not meant to replace you. I think there is going to be lots of times where it will replace work that we are doing, but we still need the people to be the expertise and to be the human aspect of it. It can't replace us entirely. At least yet. You know, Skynet is coming. We'll be there. Brace yourselves. But in the meantime, let's be as human as we can and interact. I would say, just like Marci would say, one step at a time. Take one thing, start going into it. I started with like a plot device like this, and it's helping me summarize and give me a little action items with it. It's a great way of doing it. Obviously, we always have the chat. You can go in there and ask the question. I would say take it the next step further is start to use it in an app or something and start small. Don't let it like take over your life to where that's your main focus. Just do a little bit of time as you're learning it and growing it. And I think that's helped me. I could spend all day long learning all the stuff that AI does, but I'm not gonna get a lot done about doing that. Obviously, we continue to learn as ourselves, you know, to try to transform, like what we are doing is being transformed by AI. I always continue to learn what you're doing and what your customers are doing to try to help them. And see, I'm trying to leverage the AI stuff so I can do stuff that I'm not great at, or doing stuff that hey, it's kind of a little bit meaningless, that I can, you know, put this into AI and have them, it helped me. Are we doing
Let's say questions
Yeah.
for after Reanette.
Okay.
Right.
Thanks.
gosh, I have so much I want to say. How many of you, you're like the brain blown off emoji right now, like your brain size. How many of you have actually used AI? Pretty much everybody in the room. Okay, what are you, some of you using AI for?
For the stuff I suck at.
Like writing an email.
Not necessarily that, like maybe, it could be something as like doing a workflow for an event. Running, spending a bunch of time and writing it out. I kind of have the same problem as, my ADHD friend over here. Where I get a little long-winded, sometimes not focused enough, so it will help me with like a guideline in a workflow. Or, well, of an event.
Yeah, would you use ChatGPT, Claude?
A few different ones, Google's, so you chat. Yeah.
Dabble in a little bit of everything?
Yeah.
How about if, yeah, anyone else that raised their hand?
Done some like business analysis and like comparative analysis and like regional bubbles.
Nice.
Where you can like literally through words, obviously, but you identify like a regional bubble. And then it'll like, you basically itemize like all the little demographics that you want to pull
Yeah.
from it.
Yeah.
And it'll look in those zip codes and pull all that information for you. Obviously check the sourcing, but I mean,
It's
a
amazing.
lot of data.
Yeah, quick information that you're not getting before. Who else?
We're using it to, take a look at our job descriptions and make them with more inclusive language.
Perfect. That a job description, yeah, clean them right up real fast. Jill.
For me, I'm having to communicate really complex issues to board members or folks that are a little more removed. And so how can I just word vomit a bunch of information in there and say, okay, let's make this simple to understand. And then
Yeah.
use it a ton for that.
Yeah. It's, go ahead.
I'm using it also in board meetings to graphically show data a lot more, a lot easier for me to create using AI graph.
Yeah.
But also using it to learn Excel. Like I just created a timesheet and I couldn't remember if then statements to save my life. And so being able to tell ChatGPT what I wanted, and for it to give me, well, I used Copilot within Microsoft. So
Yeah.
I'm working with Microsoft product, but then it gave me the proper if then statements and so just
Formulas and all that kind of stuff.
all
Yeah,
those kind of
crazy.
formulas that I needed to create.
The fact that you're creating a timesheet though makes me a little nervous just because we're in a technological age where we shouldn't be creating timesheets. We should have HRIS systems, but that's awesome that you were able to do that. It's fantastic. So I am gonna dabble in the HR side of things, but I might share other things as well because I have a lot to share regarding AI as these two do. But as Tyler and Marci said, is if you haven't started, just start simple. Go into ChatGPT and start asking it some questions. Ask it where you should go on a trip. Ask it, say you're going to Seattle, you're taking 4 days to get there. Where can I stop along the way? What hotels can I go to? Where are some visiting sites? If you want to see waterfalls, where are some waterfalls? And then ask it to map it out. Do some simple things like that. Keep asking questions within the same dialogue. I always like to tell people, try to stay in the same dialogue as long as it lets you. Sometimes like Claude baxes out after so many questions within a dialogue. But if you're staying on one topic, then it reads from what is already provided and you continue to shape that. But if you haven't dabbled in it, that's where I would suggest that you start, is just go in and start asking it some questions. So on the HR side of things, there are so many things that we can do, right? How many of you have employees or you are an employee? Okay, all right. So anywhere that we have employees in an organization, we have HR, right? Because we have human resources. So all these different things that we can do training plans, but if you're an employee and you're not actually doing the HR side of things, one of the things that you can do are some of these things is if you know, or you've talked to somebody and they said, hey, you need to improve in X, Y, and Z, and you haven't used generative AI to go out and look and see how can I improve in this area? What books can I read? What resources? I would say that is your step to go and look at something within generative AI to give you some tools. I have taken performance evaluations, uploaded them. I do 360 evaluations for like executive directors, sometimes boards, and excuse me. And I've taken those and I've uploaded them into generative AI. I use Claude because I think Claude's a little smarter, a little more intelligent. It's a little wiser than ChatGPT, but I hear it's gotten better. Claude has other advantages that I like. But I took that, uploaded it into the, to Claude. And I said, please give me an executive summary. It gave me an executive summary. And then I said, please give me a 30-day, 60-day, 90-day, 1-year developmental plan for this executive director. Give me the books to read, give me some different people they can talk to, podcasts. And so I ended up giving them like a 75-page report. And so half of the report was for the executive director themselves so that they can kind of look and see what is a plan that I can do to improve in the areas where I scored low on my 360 evaluation. The great thing is that we can upload those documents now and we can get summarized documents versus reading a 30-page summary, right? So these are all the things that we can do. So I'm going to talk about a couple of things. Is some strategies around HR in AI, some AI applications as they have, and then I'm going to show you some different prompts that I've used. But prompts, I mean, you can go online anywhere, you can get free prompts, but all you got to do is ask your brain, like, just start asking it questions and then ask it to clarify. If you don't like what it said, please clarify number 2. Please clarify the second bullet point. Please give me some examples of whatever it said. I copy and paste a lot and say, I don't know anything about what this means that you said in my in your information. And then it gives me like a whole scenario. So this is really for any position, not just for HR, but AI is not going to replace our job because as Tyler was saying, there has to be a human behind AI. There will always have to be a human. So if we go clear back in the day of computers, what happened when computers first came out? Anyone? What was the first thing we all said?
Oh, everybody's gonna lose their job.
Everyone, and look at, we all still have jobs. AI is not gonna take our jobs, but what is gonna happen is if you don't take the time to learn AI, you will be replaced by somebody that can. Why? Because they will be more productive than you are in your position. If they can create an email 30 minutes faster than you can, you will be replaced by those people. So remember that. It will not replace you, but it will replace you if you don't learn it. So good for you for being here today. And we're also having AI class at the WorkSource Summit.
Workplace Summit next
Workplace. Can
Tuesday.
you still sign up for that?
Absolutely. I'll get some flyers in here.
Yes. So that we'll be talking more about that next week. And I'll have all kinds of other things regarding leadership and AI. So the strategic advantage is this can help us do some data-driven decision-making. So in HR alone, so I was sharing with these two that last night, I got in a, so you go down a rabbit hole. Remember when the internet first came out and you just like went down a rabbit hole and the next thing you know, you've looked at 2 million websites and then social media came and now TikTok came and the next thing you know, 4 hours later, you're still watching TikTok videos. It kind of happens to me now with AI. And so I had a friend that had never touched AI and I gave her a challenge that night. I said, you need to go home and I want you to go onto AI and I want you, and I can't remember what we were talking about. I want you to do X, Y, and Z. And she did, and she came back and she's like, oh, I know, I was teaching a training class. And so I said, your homework tonight is you're going to go onto AI, you're going to figure out how to do self-coaching through AI. And so she went down a rabbit hole. She said she was in there for 3 hours. This is what happens with AI. So I went down a rabbit hole yesterday with Claude, and I found out that Claude does code apps now. So I said, what is a code app? And it said, what would you like to create? And I said, an HR app, of course, because that's my expertise. And so it says, what would you like to create? And so it gives me like all of these, the lowdown, and I'm like, not quite. So I uploaded a presentation that I had just typed out that a keynote that I was doing. And it said, oh, this is perfect. It created, if you go to my website, and I'm not trying to sell my website, I just want you to see what it created. If you go to my website and go to strategic tools, it created this whole like survey to be able to determine whether you are being strategically objective in HR. And then you scroll and it gave me like 6 different surveys. And it gave me like the HTML. I learned all kinds of fancy stuff yesterday because I didn't know how to do it. So I said, how do I put this into GoDaddy? It gives me step by step how to put it into GoDaddy. So it was really cool. So if you go to my strategic tools, you'll see what Claude is capable of doing. It was unbelievable. So I can provide data to people now based on some of the generative AI stuff. So predictive insights for workforce planning. So where are our skills gaps? Where are we struggling? What are some of the things, who do we need to hire within our organization? Where are we falling in our organization? Why don't we have sales where we need them to be? We can put in information, we can put in reports into our system, and it can give us that predictive indexing of how things are gonna roll. I mean, Target was doing this way back when I started working at Target in a long time. And they were able to predict every single day of the year, what our sales look like, how many employees we needed that day, how many hours that we had for the work week, and how those needed to be distributed. That was AI, and that was happening a long time ago. And so this isn't anything new, it's just available to us now, like it's never been available to us before. And enhanced employee experience, I'm all about the employee experience. We can talk about culture, we can talk about DEI, but how are our employees leaving and how do they feel every day? So I was thinking the other day that we need like a system where, you know, when you go to the airports these days, they have those little sad and smiley buttons in the restroom. So when you leave at the end of the day, you hit a happy button or a sad button or a kind of in between button. And then it goes into AI, and then you're like, you can kind of decide how the day went for everybody, what was the experience, and then you can put in what happened that day. Did some things happen? Did sales go down? Did they go up? And you can actually have some enhanced employee experience. Like, these are all things we can use it for. And then obviously the time-saving tools are priceless. So a couple other things is goal setting and tracking. So one of the things that AI does, and I'm gonna talk, we can talk about this as far as setting goals and tracking for employees, but we can also have employees that go in and say, go to my, so Claude is now interfaced with, I don't think they're interfaced with Outlook quite yet, but they're interfaced with Google. So they go into my Drive, they can go into my calendar, they can go into my email, and Tyler is talking about an app as well that does this, and it tells me like what I need to be doing today. But it also, I can say, go to my strategic plan on the Drive for 2025 and look at my calendar and look at my email and tell me how I'm driving my strategic initiatives. And it'll give me that information. So when we're looking at goal setting, what am I going to do today? It's a whole new world. Like, we have more than ever the ability to accomplish our goals and to set goals that we can actually achieve. Because we have something that can actually tell us how long it might take to do something. Obviously, you can go down a rabbit hole and maybe it doesn't, but also we can help employees set those goals and set those strategies. So if an employee is struggling in an area, we can go into Claude or generative AI and we can say, my employee is struggling at X, Y, and Z. Please give me a plan, give me books to read, as I said before, and help them with a plan versus being like, this is my biggest pet peeve with HR is, well, here's our disciplinary process, right? Instead, we're gonna say, well, I don't know, let's go ask generative AI to find a solution so we can coach and develop this person to do better, right? Instead of just terminating them. And so the other thing that we can do is feedback analysis and insights. So what kind of feedback do we need to give somebody? So as Sherry was saying just a minute ago is when we're, or actually it was Michelle, when we're talking to someone and we are trying to analyze a situation, but also give them some really good information without maybe our personality style coming out. So I'm a DISC consultant. So using DISC for this is great. So if you know somebody's personality style or you don't, you can actually put in their personality style. You can put in your personality style and say, how do I say this to this person? And typically it'll say, this person is an S style, and this is how you need to communicate with them. I'm a D, so I know I come across very powerful in my conversations. And so I've actually told Claude in my biography is I'm a D. So please, in the DISC assessment, so when I'm explaining things in your scope, please make sure I'm explaining them so that all DISC styles understand and not just a D, right? Because Ds are only 6% of the population, so therefore I'm very scary to most people because most people don't encounter D side. So career path recommendations and skills gaps identification. So I'm gonna show you how to get the skills gaps, but if you're career pathing, so I did this presentation a while back. I did a webinar online and I went through this whole career pathing recommendation. So I pretended it was me. I wanted to be the CEO of a bank in 2 years. I've worked in banking. So I actually put my resume in there. I put the job description in there and I said, what do I need to do in order to become a CEO at a bank? It went all the way down to like the regulatory things that I needed to, and like websites. It was crazy, the information that it gave me. But it had me fully prepared. If I followed that, I would have been fully prepared to be a CEO. Just saying. So, I'll show you the skills gaps analysis because I actually have video of that. So you can do, if you have HRIS systems where you can do surveys and those types of things, or you could also do, there's all kinds of apps out there. And I don't dabble in a lot of them. One, because I am a one-man show. And so this is why I use AI. I can't afford to dabble in all of those so that I can share them with everybody. I just know there's a lot of tools out there that you can actually now, through Teams, through HRIS systems, you can actually gauge if someone is going to leave your organization sometime soon. So you see this high level of engagement and then maybe they fall off. Their engagement falls off. Maybe they're not responding to emails as fast. They're not responding to Teams chat quite as fast. And you can gauge those things and maybe have a stay interview with them before they leave. So if you're in a bigger organization and you're suffering from turnover, you may want to consider getting something like that in your systems. Personalized learning recommendations, as I've shared with you, like that 360 evaluation, I was like, here's the things that you need to work on from your evaluation. Your evaluation was great, but you want to continually improve. Here's some ideas for you. And then benefit optimization, right? You can ask it to search. I know Claude does research now online. And so it'll pull information and give you a ton of information on benefits. And so you can say, what are some creative benefits that employers are offering? And you're going to get more than you're going to get in a Google search, as Marci was saying earlier. Like, this is my go-to. I don't want to go through Google. I don't know what's going to happen to Google, but they did not get on the boat soon enough, right? So I am going to go to Claude before I ever go to Google, unless Claude tells me something and I go to Google to look for it. But I am going to go there first to find what I need when it comes to HR stuff, because it's going to give me a lot more information and I don't have to go through webpage after webpage after webpage to find something. So it's benefit optimization because it's going to provide you more options and more creative things that you could do. So some essential tools. We already talked about some of these, so I'm not going to go into them too much, but obviously Claude or ChatGPT, whichever you prefer. If you want to be smart, use Claude. Grammarly, I've used Grammarly for probably 7 or 8 years. I haven't gotten rid of Grammarly, even though it does do a lot of similar stuff. Like, it'll change your words around, it'll give better content sometimes, but I don't get rid of it because, like Tyler, I'm not very good at the whole comma. I don't know where my commas go. Is it before the and, after the and? Does it need to be there with the and? I don't know. So Grammarly is very helpful as far as that's concerned. Calendly, we all are probably using some AI, but that's been around for a long time too. Survey tools, we talked about those a little bit. And then HRIS systems with those AI capabilities. There's a lot of systems out there now. If you don't have one with an HRIS system capability, don't go out and get a new system because it has AI. I would push back on the company that you're with and say, you need to get up to speed. Like, all these other systems have AI. We don't want to change our whole system, but you need to put pressure on the company, whoever it may be, to move and have some AI. So here's some prompt engineering. Marci already talked about some of this, so I'm not going to talk about it, but you have to be very clear and precise. The other thing is you have to remember that sometimes you have to ask it a lot of questions and go in, keep asking it questions based on what it's told you to get the answers that you want. it does practice over and over again. The more information you give it, the more it's going to be able to give you the correct information. So just keep working with it and keep asking the questions. It's a really good counselor. It's a really good coach, especially when you're talking to people. And so I really encourage you, like, if you're going into conversations, I feel like generative AI is a game changer when it comes to HR helping people communicate. I think that it's a game changer in communication, because if you have to talk to an employee about something, instead of going into it with, this is what you're doing wrong, you can go into generative AI and say, this is what the employee is doing wrong. This is their behavior. This is what I would like them to be doing. How do I have this conversation? Instead, and that's really hard sometimes for managers, supervisors, to have those conversations. But if you have a guide, you're going to have that conversation, and you're not going to sit there and read from Claude and say, okay, this is what you need to do. Right? You're going to read that, you're going to get your summary, and you're going to have that conversation. So there's still a human behind it. So this one is the skills gap example that I'm going to give you. And so what I did was, excuse me, I asked Claude, let's see, is it gonna work?
Yeah, it's
Oh, there it goes. Okay, so I asked it to how to find skills, don't mind my typing, my skills gaps in the organization. So I asked it that question, and then it gives me like how I'm gonna find them, right? And then I went in and I uploaded a resume. It was probably some random resume. I don't know, might have been my own. This might be the CEO one that I did. So I uploaded. Come on. So then eventually I upload my resume and the job description. And so then it tells me where the gaps are for that employee. So obviously you're not going to do this if you have like 100 resumes, but maybe you have 1 or 2 people, or maybe you're just looking within your organization to figure out where you have some skills gaps. If you don't have a paid version of ChatGPT or Claude, you can't upload. So you can copy and paste that information in there. Say, this is the job description, this is the resume, and you can upload it and ask it the same questions. So you don't have to have a paid version. Oh, yeah, here it is. So then I upload it, and then I uploaded the job announcement, the job description, and then I did my resume. So, so I asked it what would be the skills gap. So this is probably gonna be funny because, you know, I've been doing HR for years, and it actually gave me a bunch of skills gaps. So one of the things I will share with you, and I know my time is almost running out, but one of the things I want to share with you about any generative AI is that after a while, it does become very partial to you, and it wants to boost you up and give you positive, encouraging, you're always right. And so I'll question it. Like last night, I was questioning it, and I was like, I never told you that I worked for healthcare. And it's like, oh, yes, that's true. You didn't work for healthcare. Let me revise that. And so it'll revise it, right? And so I don't know where it pulled it from. It actually told me where it pulled it from, like, haha, this is where I got this from. But what I want to say is make sure you ask it to challenge you on a regular basis. So I put into the bio section. So there's a bio section that you can go into in your settings so that it talks like you and hears like you and speaks your kind of, because I'm like, I want to be fun, I want to be energetic, blah, blah, blah. So I actually put in there, please don't always be positive and show me the pros and cons. So most of the time it will give me my pros and cons instead of just saying, no, you're doing a great job. This is exactly what the HR people want to hear. Because I'm like, okay, I'm not getting any buyers. So you're not telling me something. And so I said that to it one time, and I'm like, and it ripped me up. Like, gosh, you're really mean. So anyway, so you kind of see this, like, gave me my skills gaps and all of that. So next slide. This is more of the same. So manager development of I have an employee, and so this is kind of what advice am I gonna be able to give It'll do a performance improvement plan for you if you want to. I know Claude, I don't know if Chat GPT does this. It'll give me a to-do list for that employee. So like my strategic plan, when I did my strategic plan, I said, please give me a to-do list by week with my strategic plan. And I got a very long 1 year to-do list. So every week I don't necessarily follow it, but I wanted to see if it could do it. So it was pretty fantastic. So, I'm a slow typer here apparently. But anyway, so make sure that also I want to just I talked about this earlier today, and this is what I want to add it really quick, is that one of the things that I did a lot of research recently on the whole thing about the information that you put in goes out to the internet. That is false. So if you go into the privacy settings on not privacy settings, but agreements for like Claude or Chat GPT. I don't know about Chat GPT. I'm not going to say that because I didn't read it, but I read it about Claude. And Claude does not put information out on the internet. So if you are putting information in, it doesn't put the information back out on the internet. Does it pull it from the internet? Yes, but it doesn't put it back out. However, I would not, if you're not going to give a stranger on the phone your social security number and your bank accounts, it's a stranger. Like, even though I was telling Claude last night when it created me those assessments, I love you, you were the best. Every once in a while, you have to compliment Claude or chat to them, tell them what great job they're doing, and they'll be more encouraging. But you have to remember that that information doesn't go out. So, and depending on what platform you use, ChatGPT does pull from your old information. Claude does not. So every time you start new. It won't, I can't go to Claude and say, please pull from all the information you've given me and tell me some of the things. It's like, yeah, sorry, I can't do that. The Claude is not set up that way. So they're all set up a little bit differently. So anyway, with that being said, I think we're taking questions now.
Thank you. Well, if anyone has a question, go ahead and raise your hand and let's get it started.
Does it pull reviews? As in reviews, like if you wanna go somewhere, I actually use, like if I'm looking to buy something or make a big purchase, I use Vetted. It's an app on my phone and I'll be like, I'm looking for, the last one I used was like the best bleacher chairs for a baseball game. And it'll pull all sorts of reviews. So Vetted is what I use if I'm looking to make a purchase. But I do believe you could ask it to go on, ask ChatGPT to go online and grab reviews as well.
I have an ethical question. And it sparked with your conversation regarding the interview before they leave and your recording device. Probably 4 years ago, I was at a HubSpot conference where they talked about how they were monitoring every keystroke on every device, and they were deploying machine learning to figure out culture. Are there areas that our staff are upset about? And the murmuring in the room, they didn't like that. Because they thought, well, what an invasion of privacy. We have this private Slack channel between this subgroup, and that's their place that they can share and bitch to each other about stuff. And then with the recording device, there are laws that some states, both parties have to be aware of the fact that you're recording that conversation with them. Do you guys have any discussions or thoughts on kind of the ethical implications of both of those processes?
I've thought about the same thing with the all the apps that are out there, and they say that they can monitor the employees across the board. If that came across my desk as an HR professional, I'd be like, yeah, I don't know, talk to an attorney. Because there's got to be some kind of, I'm guessing if it's an HRIS system, there's some type of an agreement that they're that comes up through that system that they're agreeing to that. I don't know. But I'm only here to create awareness.
I think like with the Plod device, you should tell people you're gonna be recording is the main thing. If you go on to almost any other recording on the apps, they usually will say the meetings recording is happening.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So you should be saying that either way. You could just say as a policy, hey, every meeting, we're gonna have it on a recording, so they kind of already know that ahead of time.
If you're not using a note-taking app at this point, like in your Zoom meetings or any kind of meetings, you're missing the mark, because those things are amazing. They'll give you a to-do list, they'll tell you your talking time. If you're a person that likes to talk a lot, I can see sometimes I'm at 57, 60%, and I'm like, oh, I need to quit talking. And, so it'll, especially if you're trying to kind of change the way you come into a meeting or bring yourself, it'll tell you everybody's talking time, talking point. It's amazing. I use Fathom and it's amazing.
What AI app do you recommend for creating realistic photos? And are any of them free? That comes from Zoom.
I don't know if you can do them free on Canva or not, but I know that ChatGPT has a free function, probably up to a certain amount.
So I haven't used a free version of ChatGPT in a really long time. And back to what you were saying earlier, is I think you have to pay or have your, like your company version to not let your ChatGPT information get out.
You do have to have a paid version. I
Yeah,
don't think it gets out either way, but you're more protected with a paid version, I believe.
within ChatGPT, there's little like other GPTs in there, and I'd have to get back to you on ones that
I think
but I stick with cartoons.
It's called,
It's
Doll-
AI image generator.
yeah, it's AI, there's an image generator and then there's Dolly, DALL
Yeah.
dash E. I've used that a few times.
I haven't done any meeting.
We talked about a lot of positive things with AI. Macy brought up a lot of things like on how you can manipulate it basically so that you come up as a big the number one source when you search. We didn't talk about the negativities about that same situation. What are your guys' views on maybe companies using it for bad, like, you know?
Yeah, there's always the power to use anything for,
Yeah.
not for good, but for evil. I have done research lately on folks that are becoming so addicted to it that they're not thinking for themselves anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that it is important to continue to challenge, and it is important to not just have it do all your research for you, because then it's so easy to take your 29-page document, have it summarized into bullet points and think that you know everything about it, but you're not remembering that. Or if you're using it to create research papers, I'm terrified for my kids that are in school right now. It's so easy and you get to check the box and you're done, that I think we could become too used to it in our daily lives, that we're not absorbing that information anymore. It's one and done and you're on to the next thing.
I did have somebody work for me that was very AI, she used it for everything. And then so when she would send me emails, I started getting like, I would stop reading them because it was like, okay, you don't know, did you even read this, kind of thing. And so then I would go and talk to her in person and say, okay, I want to hear your actual thoughts in this. And she would just be like, because when you go through the AI and you're just like, okay, that sounds good. It literally is like, it goes through your brain and it's out because you're like, okay, that registered, it's good, send it away. And so how do we, like, going forward, how do we, I don't know how to explain it, make sure that human, you know what I mean? Like, where you're still having their opinion and they're remembering it basically for future, like, emails and stuff. And
I think that, and that's a really good point, because I think a lot of articles are coming out about that. I also think that, we have to, a lot of articles are coming out about the fact that people are just putting stuff out there without reading it, right? So I think that number one, face-to-face conversation is always best. I mean, we have, when Tyler was talking, I was like, well, there's no more lying about a meeting that you said that no one told you, right? Now we have all these note-taking applications and you're being recorded for everything. And so there's no more saying that you couldn't, but, so I did an interview the other day and I did it on Zoom. And I am 99.9% sure that the guy had it on record. So when I asked the question, it was like recording and then the answer came up because you could see his eyes moving that he was, and then you couldn't follow him. And I know how when I train and I'm reading off of something and I'm trying to act like I knew that what I was talking about, because I maybe got pulled in for a last minute training on something and I don't know anything about like what they're talking, like their PowerPoints, that it breaks up like that. And so I've also had people that have told me that, there is a tool out there for, when you're doing like a Zoom interview where it actually talks for you in your voice. And so it's answering, and so it makes it look like your mouth is moving, but it's really not. And so that's why I think even though you may hire somebody, I would always bring them in person. Like, that's just one example I think that it's really bad for. I mean, I think Zoom is great to do like a, beginning interview process, but always bring them in person because they can't lie in person, right? It's gonna be, they're gonna be, have to be truthful in person. But I think like everything, there's downsides to the internet, there's downsides to ChatGPT or generative AI. But we have to like, hopefully people don't allow themselves to get into it to the point that they don't even know what they're talking about. Or they'll learn pretty quick.
You mentioned using it to gather your thoughts and to brainstorm. And if you're using it as a first draft machine, and then you're taking that information and absorbing it and really putting your spin on it, people aren't gonna be turned off by you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a free market, right? If you're the person that always comes off as, I just sent that email, just like you said, and it's all AI, people are gonna start tuning you out. So if you're using it for its intended purposes, I think that's gonna get you further in life.
Yeah, if you go and do it and you're writing an email or anything like that, is you started out with your thoughts first. Then you have AI try to correct it, grammar or whatever, and then you have to reread it afterwards. I think that's the key, is rereading it, making sure it's in your words and that it's coming out with the correct topics and everything, because I have had it many times like, oh, well, that's not the correct terminology, whether it's like an office technology term or something like that, and it's corrected it to like a Google term or something like that.
Yeah.
And you need to go through it and make sure that it makes sense. So if you're doing both sides, I think that'll be helpful, should go through it.
There's a lot of words that AI will use to like in conclusion or,
Or those darn dashes, those
Yeah.
long dashes, ugh.
and then they also use, I know Claude uses this a lot, plot twist, and I'm like, quit using plot twist.
Yeah, but it doesn't sound like Tyler.
It's like, I'm not that creative. Yeah.
Reanette, you mentioned articles. With AI evolving so quickly, what kind of blogs or news sources are you following to keep track of the newest and latest? Is there?
So it's funny because I just wrote an article, a blog too, about quit using AI for everything. Like, I don't even know what I'm reading anymore. Like, is it really you or is it AI? Because I can tell. And you know how else I can tell is early on when I was kind of playing around with it with articles a couple years ago, I went on to a post and I was right when AI started getting big with HR stuff. And so I had gone in and I said, what can I do with AI? And it gave me a whole list. A couple weeks later, I came across a woman that was doing the same thing. It was almost the exact same words. And I was like, okay, not doing this again. Like, I hope she learned, I don't know if she noticed that, but that's the authenticity that I think I'm concerned about in this world is that is the articles. I use Flipboard and I go through and there's a million AI articles in there all the time about some of the things like Marci's talking about our brain kind of shutting off because of AI, all the advancements that are going to happen. I also think it's a huge fad right now. And I think if eventually people are going to realize they can't live off of AI, right? Like we all learned we could live without TikTok after the pandemic. So I think that eventually it'll wear off where people are like, okay, I'm gonna get caught. And they'll also have, you know, how they ended up like when the internet came out, they had the plagiarism app where you could tell if it was plagiarized. They're gonna have apps. However, I will tell you, I've written my own stuff and I put it through Grammarly because it'll tell you if it's AI or not. And it said it was AI. And I'm like, this is my own.
You're just so good.
That's really yes. So I use Flipboard. That's where I get my articles from.
I follow folks on like Instagram and TikTok.
She's on
for
TikTok.
like quick tips and tricks.
Yeah.
YouTube is good too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Anyone else in the room? Question, Randy?
Maybe it'd be a long answer to this. Fly off down a rabbit hole here, but like with the whole delusion, like diluting of, learning and things like that, we're just speaking of. At what point, I guess, what were you guys' opinions? At what point we're in, coding in particular? For like, we all use it for doing equations and quick, old HTML things, stuff like that. At what point then is like the software industry basically going to like, I could use it right now to propose or put this question together better, I guess, but. At what point is prompting gonna be more important than actual coding skills, I guess? Like if where are we gonna code or like prompt ourselves out of being able to even actually write software, period?
Cause you can write software
Right.
basically with.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of
You have
that.
the right idea of how to tell it what to do together. Which is pretty scary, but then who even knows how to make anything anymore?
Yeah.
So.
It's like Marci was saying earlier, it's, you know, there's so many, because you can make things so easy now. And I mean, like, there's a website that you can go in and make apps on, right? So everybody's coming up with an app for AI. And at one point, are all those gonna start merging together?
Right.
So that you don't have, you know, it's like, what, are they calling this, you know, when they call it the .com, are they like calling it the .ai period, or?
Maybe.
I don't know.
I think we
Should
should
we-
tagline that.
I know,
That should be.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that question. Anybody else?
You made a comment earlier, I think it's really relevant in the fact that. If you're not using AI, you should be using it now, and if you're worried about whether coding is gonna be here in the future or not. If the coding people in the future are gonna be AI people
Right.
that are working on it, that use an AI to do the coding. And I think that's gonna be kind of more, they'll be using it to tweak it, do other things to make it do what. But on the back end, you might not have people that just do coding anymore.
Well, then what does that turn into, the whole self? AI replicating itself kind of thing, or
Yeah, and that's where Skynet comes in, you know. Be nice to it, just.
Yeah, no, nice.
Do you have a question?
Just, well, and kind of just like on the flip side of that, one, there's so many positives and negatives, right? But building on what you were saying, Tyler, your questions and comments is, you know, also you can imagine a future where rather than having to rely on, I have to find an app that does what I want. But to literally say, I just need to have, I need to keep track of my family schedule. I don't need to go find an app and put all my data in that app and have it like, but actually be able to manipulate. So by learning a tool, right? So again, it's like the internet or computers or whatever, something comes along and it's like, oh, it's gonna replace us. No, it's gonna be a new tool that we can leverage for good or for bad, but also to, you know, if to me, I look at AI as a tool that can help us improve people's lives primarily. And so there's lots of different applications for it, but really, again, like learning how to use this tool opens up new ways to use it societally and in business to solve problems. But these are all human problems that we're trying to solve. And so, you know, that's one of the things that I think, again, is there's a lot of worries and dangers, but also as users of AI, we can educate ourselves and we can make sure that, you know, we're kind of stewarding in the right use of it in our communities and in our organizations and in our families, and, you know, so anyway, that's the way that I kind of look at it, is for all of these, you know, possible dangerous outcomes, we have a lot of control in how we're using the tools for good outcomes.
What I would say too is that if your organization hasn't come up with a policy on where, when, and how you're gonna use AI, because there are situations where you should not be using AI. So say you're a law firm, like you shouldn't be using AI to write a brief. I actually worked with a client, a special client, and one of the attorneys in the office wrote a brief with AI. It came up with the wrong, it came up with some cases that didn't even exist. It went to trial. Obviously it all blew up. So there are things in your organization that you do not want to be using AI for, like PHI, public health or personal health information, like there's things you shouldn't be using it for. So if you don't have a policy in your organization, it's really important that you get one so that everybody is clear. Because I guarantee you that if you don't have a policy or you've told people they can't use AI, then they're still using AI. So whether they're using it on their personal computer, bringing it to work, or whether they're using it on the work computer, or they're using it on their phone and then doing it, they're still doing it. So you need to come up with some type of policy. HR really should be involved in that and help drive that policy because it has to do with people and they need to coordinate with all the different departments. But in saying that, there are some ethical things around this that companies need to be careful of. Sherry?
And to tag on to that, I think that, they are going to continue to use it regardless of whether or not you have a policy that says don't use it in this. So I think that training is the big thing. It's just like when you have any performance issue, manage that issue. Don't try to, eliminate it, just manage it and train them. And if you start with leadership and have leadership trickle that down to your staff and frontline employees, incorporated into onboarding even, because I mean, they're gonna use it, but we need to set the boundary.
And you can use AI to write your training.
So Marci and Reanette, you both each had examples in your presentation of video or scrolling of chats that you did. I'm just curious what tools you use to create those, because if we're going to lead by example and talk about training staff about prompts or searches, I just thought both of those were really cool and different. So I'd love to know how you did that.
I screen recorded on my phone so that I could speak to text my question, so it didn't watch me fumble around. So I screen recorded, emailed it to myself. I was not real clever in this, clipped it, threw it in there.
So I use, I don't remember what it's called. There is a, There's-
It said feed on your.
oh yeah, Feed. Okay. Yeah, I use Feed and you just go to the Feed website, super easy to use. You go in there, you say you have to set up an account. It gives you, you get some free ones. I think you get like 3 free ones a day or something. And you just say, I wanna, record my screen. And then it pops up what screens, cause I have 3. So then, I say what screen and then I just do my thing and it records. And then I just download it with the watermark because it's free. And download it and there you go. Isn't that nifty?
Yeah,
Super easy.
And it was super engaging to actually watch things happening on the screen in real time. So yeah, thank you both for.
Yeah.
We have time for one more question. I'm gonna close this out.
I have a really quick weird one. So we're kind of talking about the downside, so I'm a financial advisor. So you guys probably all know what I'm gonna talk about. Like, are people really taking advice on investments from AI and like their full financial future? Like, don't you guys think that's scary?
It is.
But I,
People
if they are, yeah,
We
I'm
were
not.
doing it on Reddit before, so that's.
Yeah, so I just think that like that is just really, really scary for us financial advisors, because we have people that come to us and they're like, oh, I'm dabbling in this and that, and you're like, are you using your like retirement money for this? So yeah, I don't know if you guys have heard anything or.
I mean, I've looked up stuff just because I wanted to see what it was gonna give me. And, it was interesting because some of the stocks I already had. So I was like, it's not too off. I mean, I wouldn't take over personal advice, but I will tell you, I was talking to Terry this morning and we were talking about our presentations for next week and she was sharing with me that somebody actually could go into their counselor and they just use ChatGPT.
Oh, no.
Oh. I mean, it's a pretty good coach
Yeah.
at times. Yeah.
I-
It told, well,
that's
I'll
scary.
share a quick story. It actually, I told Terry this morning. I was arguing with one of my friends via text and I thought I probably need to be nice in my response because I was divorcing her. And I was breaking up and I put what I wanted to say and God said, it appears to me that you are having an issue with a friend and you might want to take a pause before I respond to this message. And I was like, whatever. Okay. And then I copy and pasted and I said, who's being more emotionally intelligent in this conversation? It said me.
We have one last very quick question.
Well, it kind of goes to what you were just saying, and then also Marcy, you said it earlier too about, you said that you live in chat, and you just said yours kind of told you, hey, you might wanna walk that back a little, so. My question is just like, I've been using chat, I feel like it knows everything about me now, but I'm interested in Claude. But like, how long does it take, how does this work, like, if I start using Claude? Does it, like, yesterday I typed something in there and it said, well, since you run a small chamber with 8 employees, and I was like, okay, it knows me, but like, if I started Claude, do I have to teach Claude about me? Or, because I've used chat, like, does it store all this? Did you do your bio and stuff in Chat GPT already? I don't think I have.
She has an account, she's logged in, and I don't think there's a bio.
Well, I don't, but I guess I'll do that. Yeah, I mean, so Chat GPT gets to know you better than Claude. That's the one thing about Claude is Claude takes everything from scratch, so it really only takes what you put into the bio.
Yeah.
Piece.
Yeah.
I guess the follow-up to that is, can you completely annihilate and start over fresh from?
So-
I believe you can, I just haven't tried it myself.
Yeah, you just.
Or it's all.
Cause I'm just worried about letting go of every place. I feel like it has.
They
all
got
this
you
stuff.
hooked.
I know. And then if I start with Claude, you have me intrigued, but like,
So
how do I train Claude?
ChatGPT stores core memory automatically based on like its own intuition on what it thinks is important about you.
Claude doesn't.
And then it keeps like a list on the back end, and you can hop in there and delete some of the older ones, so that it just forgets them.
Okay.
If you're trying to transfer some of that information about yourself too, you could actually even just ask for it in the form of a prompt that like tell it exactly, I'm gonna go into Claude.
Give it to Claude.
What's important information, what's the salient information to hand over?
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
All right, let's give a round of applause. It's recorded, it's gonna be edited. I told everyone it was recorded and announced it ahead of time. It screamed it, right? So this will be put on YouTube. Also, everybody that registered today will get an email with the YouTube link, the slide deck, the handouts, everything you could ever want. Their contact information, come on, people. That's a good email, look out for it. Couple things coming up. Our next Ask the Experts is on August 19th, navigating tough talks, leading through conflict and accountability. It's gonna be a really good one, especially for the HR people. She sure is. Laura Flores, Deborah Kilmer, and John Patterson. There are flyers in the back. You can register for free with the QR code. And let's do a drawing. Did everyone get their business cards in here?
Austin, did you have something to go the next week?
Yeah, I will be doing after the drawing.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Get it in. Getting it.
We have a beautiful Christensen gift basket. Charlie, do you want to draw the name?
When you bring a marketing person to
I
a talk,
know.
they bring swag.
Want me to read it?
Yeah.
Dawn Jones, Inspector.
She left. so-
Oh, must be present to win.
Oh, wait, you did. Tara spoke it into the universe. Next week, next Tuesday, from 8:30 to 1:30, we're hosting the Washington Workplace Summit. That's over at the Convention Center, and it's going to have breakout sessions very much like this one, including one on AI from our very own expert here at Reanette. Yep, absolutely. And then other breakout sessions include there is one on Tough Talks as well, if you can't make the next Ask the Experts. I think that one's by Paul Casey, the former Ask the Experts.
I think that's Laura. Laura's doing the difficult conversation.
Oh, okay. Paul is doing feedback. The Breakfast of Champions.
And
Paul's-
anxiety.
Yep, and we have one on stress and how to lead a team with less stress in your life and give your team less stress also, which sounds beautiful. So that's next Tuesday. We have flyers in the back. Please, please, please pick one up and join us. And with that, have a safe drive home. Thank you for coming.